Hello, 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 and welcome back to Mondays with Matt. To all of y'all watching on YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy to have you here. Take a second, hit that little subscribe button if you haven't yet. I'm posting new content all the time, and I'd love to have you as part of the tribe. Guys, I am so excited to have you here on Mondays with Matt. My name is Matt Shaffer. I am a speaker and coach for women. I coach women around empowerment, connection, and relationship. I'm so passionate about the work that I do. I wake up every day just lit up to get out there and make a difference in the world, in the lives of my clients and of my students and of all of you beautiful humans that I am here to serve. And this is Mondays with Matt. This is my weekly show on personal development, transformation, leadership, spirituality, emotional intelligence, connection, love, you freaking name it. All the stuff that I'm passionate about. I'm here sharing with you what I'm learning in real time. I'm not here preaching from a pulpit. Today we're going to talk about a very simple decision that you have to make. Right? Here's the thing. You have two choices in your life, and there are two choices you get to make on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and moment-by-moment basis. You can either dive off the cliff, or you can die on the cliff. You can dive off the cliff, or you can die on the cliff. What do you think I mean when I say that? What do you think I mean when I say those are the two choices you have? In what sense do you think I mean that? That you can either dive off the cliff or you can die on the cliff. How could that apply to your life? How could that apply to the decisions you're making right now? How could that apply to the possibilities that are available to you right now? You can dive off the cliff or you can die on the cliff. This is a choice we all have to make. This is a choice we all have to make on a moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month basis. Because here's the thing, y'all, we are not guaranteed another day. We are not. We're not guaranteed another hour. So you have a choice in the way you live your life to be in a continual state of leaping into the unknown, or you can choose to stay on the cliff. Because with each moment that you take, with each step that you take, you can make that step a step into the unknown, a step out of your comfort zone. You can dive into greater possibility. You can dive into what it is that you actually want. Or you can choose to stay on the cliff. But I don't like to call it staying on the cliff. I like to call it dying on the cliff. Why would you think I would call it that? Why would I call it that? Linda has a great explanation. She answered my question for me. Safety equals death. Get out of the comfort zone. Exactly, Linda. Exactly. When we choose to stay on the cliff, when we choose to not take the risk, when we choose to not go for it, when we choose to stay in our comfort zone, we are choosing stagnancy. We are choosing safety. We are choosing death. Because to truly live is to continue to move forward. To truly live is to step into our greatest possibility, is to move onwards and upwards and outwards, and to be in that state of ascension, in that state of growth, and that state of transformation that's available to all of us every day, but that so few people choose to take advantage of. So many people die on the cliff every day, every week, every month, every year. And they may not be dead yet, physically, but emotionally, energetically, they've stopped. They've stopped moving, they've stopped growing, they've stopped proceeding, they've stopped risking, they've stopped daring, they've stopped seeing life as a game. They've started seeing it just as a thing to survive. So I better stay on the cliff, because if I leap, I could die. Here's the thing though, I would rather risk death every time than never really live. You know what I'm saying? And if I stay on the cliff, I'm never going to see what's possible for me. I'm never going to see what I can create. I'm never going to see the exciting mystery of life fully realized in my own life. And I encourage each and every one of my clients and each and every one of my students to leap every day. Get out of your comfort zone every day. Keep pushing, keep risking, keep trying, keep daring. Hannah's saying, oh, please don't die. Not planning on dying. But here's the thing, I am going to live. I'm going to choose to live every day. And Mikkel makes a great point. It's not just the death of your life, right? It's not just dying. Dying on the cliff doesn't just mean the death of you. It means the death of possibility. It means the death of what you could have created in the world. They talk about the cemetery as being the richest piece of real estate in the world, because in a cemetery lies all the dead dreams, all the unrealized potential of all the people that are in the ground. I know it's a little morbid. I'm sorry if I'm being morbid with y'all, but I have to put this in very extreme terms, because otherwise the seductive nature of staying in what's comfortable for us and staying of what's familiar for us, the seductive nature of it, it's like syrupy sweet heroin. to us, right? It's so seductive to stay in what's safe, to stay in what's familiar, to stay in what's working for us, right? Isn't it? Give me a 1 if you can relate to that. Give me a 1 if you can relate to the whole concept of like, oh my God, I just want to stay in what's familiar for me because it feels good, because it feels easy, because it feels comfortable. But we can't die on the cliff. We have to leap. We have to be willing to jump into what we do not know to see what we could create. We have to be willing to leap off the cliff and bounce off a couple rocks before we take flight. Because if we don't leap off the cliff, we're never going to be able to soar. We're never going to be able to see what was possible for us. And we're going to live a life of regret, standing on the cliff, looking out over the expanse, trying to talk ourselves into the fact that we made the right decision. Right? How many people do you know that spend their entire lives standing on the cliff, rationalizing why they can't jump off, why they didn't jump off, why it was okay to do things the way that they did, while it was okay to sell out on themselves? So many people spend their entire lives standing on the cliff, justifying their comfort zone, fighting for their limitations, fighting for their weakness, right? Working so hard to prove themselves right, to prove their limiting beliefs right. It is tragic. It is tragic. And I am standing for each and every one of you to leap off the cliff. Dive off the cliff in your life. Do not die on the cliff that you are standing on. Be proud that you've gotten to this ledge. Be proud that you've gotten to where you're gotten. I'm not saying that where you're at isn't perfect. But what I'm saying is there is something greater for you if you leap into the unknown. Right now, there is something greater available to you. Something that maybe something that you can't even see, that you can't even understand. Maybe you can't even see it totally clearly. Maybe it's just a vague outline, but you know what? It's there and you know it's there. There's something greater for you in your relationship. There's something greater for you in your career. There's something greater for you in your health. In the way you feel about yourself. There is a leap available to you right now. You are on the edge of a precipice in your life, and life is asking, do you have the courage to take the jump? Do you have the courage to move forward into that unknown? And I think each and every one of you do. Or you wouldn't be watching this show. You wouldn't be doing this work. You wouldn't be taking yourself on. Give me a 1 if you're committed to doing that in your life. Gene says, guy I met online wants to take me ziplining over Niagara Falls. You are talking to me, man. Look at that. One of my clients and students, she just had a guy ask if she wanted to go on a date ziplining over Niagara Falls. Gene, are you going to do it? Tell me, Gene, what's up? We get to take the leap, y'all. We get to take the leap. But here's the interesting thing. The leap isn't just a big dramatic thing. The leap isn't just walking away from the job that you don't like. The leap isn't just cutting off the relationship that's no longer working. Those are obvious leaps. Of course we got to take those leaps. Those are the obvious ones. And I invite you to take those huge ones. But it's not just about big leaps. It's also about little leaps. Your life can be a series of little leaps, little risks, little steps into the unknown. And that's where the majority of your transformation is going to take place. The majority of your life is going to take place in these little tiny leaps we get to take every day. Right? And as you're walking through a supermarket, right, and you see somebody you're attracted to, or you see somebody that's interesting, Do you make eye contact with that person or not? Do you take that little leap of being open to connection with that person, or do you just do what you've always done and keep your eyes locked on the macaroni that you're going for at the end of the aisle or down at your cart? That's a little leap, but that's a little leap that could end up being a vast life-altering decision. You don't know. You don't know unless you take that little leap, right? Do you just do these little things? And so look in your day for the little leaps, the little opportunities to connect with others, to take risks, to move out, to go on. So can anybody relate to this? Yeah, Olga says, I keep my earbuds on. And isn't it easy to just put on our earbuds and just shut out the world? Isn't it easy to just keep ourselves locked in straight ahead? Isn't it easy to not risk judgment, not risk rejection, not risk, the energy it takes to connect with other people? But your life will be defined by the little leaps that you make. Your life is an aggregate of these decisions that you make every day. The decisions that you make every day turn into the decisions you make every week, turn into your months, turn into your years. And it's not always going to be obvious to you what's a big decision or a little decision. It's not going to be clear. That's why we just get to keep leaping every chance we get. If something feels uncomfortable to you, if it feels stretchy to you, that decision is probably the leap that you need to take. This all goes back to the principle that the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, right? So we get to create congruency between our thoughts and our feelings and our vision. So if we want to live a life of leaps, right? A life of stretching, a life of continually jumping into the unknown and moving forward and expanding and ascending, then you get to continue to do that in every aspect of your life, on the micro level all the way up to the macro level. Be looking for opportunities to leap. Be looking for opportunities to take the path less traveled by, to stretch more, to grow more, to push into the things that you don't want to do. Will Smith talks about this in a really interesting way. He said that one of the keys to him being so successful. Yes, I'm bringing up Will Smith again. I know I brought him up last week, but you know what? The guy's a legend and he's an icon, and some of the things he said are incredibly profound. Will Smith said that one of the keys to his success was he started looking for the things in his life that he was afraid of. He started looking for the things he was feeling a lot of resistance towards, a lot of the things that he was experiencing a lot of fear towards, and jumping into those things, leaping into those things. And that is absolutely key to being successful in this world, to being successful into this work, to continuing to grow. Because as you break through, as you expand, as you continue to grow, get outside of your comfort zone, what your comfort zone is expands. Okay? So just because we have a breakthrough, just because we stretch into something new, just because we leap into the unknown and we realize that now that's our new normal, just because we create that as a new normal, it doesn't mean that that's the end. It means that that's now the beginning. That's our new beginning, that's why I'm saying, like, your life is going to be a series of ledges, little ledges and big ledges, a series of invitations to make one or two decisions, to dive off the cliff or to die on the cliff. And so you don't get to stop. Because the instant you choose safety, the instant you choose your comfort zone, the instant that you choose, you know what, this time I'm just going to stay back. I'm going to stay in what's comfortable for me. The instant you do that, you've chosen to die on the cliff, because we are not guaranteed tomorrow. One of my best friends and a woman that I love dearly collapsed at a coffee shop last week out of nowhere, only to find out that she had a significant brain tumor that she is now fighting for her life with. Do you think she saw that coming? I mean, a woman that, doesn't even go to the doctor. She has never had to go to the doctor. This woman's she's like a Russian piece of iron. She's like so strong and so just like powerful, right? She's now fighting for her life, and her entire life changed in the drop of a dime, right? So when I say we're dying on the cliff, I don't just mean that metaphorically. I mean that literally, you are not promised another day to create what it is that you want to create in the world. And everybody out there, send Anya your love, send her your healing, send her everything, send her all the light that you got. I posted a video earlier last week about her, acknowledging her and everything that she's created in the world. I would not be here talking to you if it wasn't for Anya. I wouldn't. She was someone that challenged me to leap. She challenged me to leap day after day after day after day. And she's the one that dragged me kicking and screaming off the cliff. And she threw me off of a lot of cliffs. I did my first keynote. I did my first speaking keynote with Anya. Back in the day. Wanda's praying for Anya. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of y'all who are sending Anya love and healing, because she needs it. She needs it. She's in rehab. She's out of the ICU. And the only reason y'all are hearing me right now is because of Anya. And she's going to need our support and our love moving forward for a while as she comes back from this, right? And let what she experienced be a lesson to all of us. That whatever ledge you're standing on could crumble from underneath you at any moment. So what the hell are you waiting for? Why are you waiting to leap? What stories are you telling yourself that'll happen if you go for it? How are you talking yourself out of what's possible for you right now in your life? I'd love for you to tell me. Put it in the comments if you're brave enough. Are you afraid of being judged? Are you afraid you're going to fail? Are you afraid people are going to laugh at you? Do you not think you're worthy of that love? Do you not think you have the skill set to create what you want? Anya texted me today for the first time. It's the first time I've heard from her since she went into the hospital. She texted me today and she asked when I'm coming to visit, and I said, well, as soon as I can, I'd love to come out. I'm kind of like working through a lot of stuff right now on the other side of the country. And her response back to me was so perfect. She texted me back, "Life is now. Life is now." And is there anything that's more congruent and more aligned with what we're talking about today than the phrase "life is now"? That's it. Jill said it right there, life is now. It is. The cliff could crumble. Whatever ledge you're on could crumble out from underneath your feet anytime. The opportunity that's waiting for you off the edge of that ledge, off the edge of that cliff, could disappear at any moment. Your opportunities are not going to stay open. The doors that are open to you are not going to stay open. The inspiration that's flowing through you is not always going to be flowing through you. If you do not take advantage of the idea that you have right now, that idea will leave and it will find somebody else who will take it out into the world. Life is now. Your opportunity is now. Your leap is now. Don't die on the fucking cliff of your unworthiness, of your insecurity, of your fear, of your doubt, of your rejection issues. Forget that shit. You can't afford it. There are people that are waiting for you. There are people that are waiting for your gifts, for your talents, for your acts of service, for your unique light, for your genius. Don't end up in the cemetery with all of your dreams buried with you. Don't be one of those people. There are millions of those people every day that die just buried in regret. They're not buried in the ground. They're buried in regret and heartbreak and remorse about all the things that they didn't do, all the things that they didn't create, all the great ideas that they had that they never stood for, the relationship that they settled for when as they watched the person that they loved drift away from them. Don't be one of those people. Give me a 1 if you are committed to leaping off the cliff, to diving off the cliff, not dying on the cliff. Remember, life is big leaps and little leaps, but the little leaps are the ones that are really transformational. The little daily leaps, the connecting with random people, the committing random acts of kindness, the being of service when you don't have to be, the stuff you're doing when other people aren't watching. That's when you really transform your life. That's when you really transform the world. Those are the little things that are going to end up becoming the cathedral of your life. That's it. That's what it's all about. Be open to connection, not just with one or two people, but with everybody. Be a conduit. Allow the connections of other people to flow through you because you're just a magnet for other human beings. That's the power you have. That's the magnetism that you have. That's the power that you have. Increase your capacity. This is what I've been doing. This is the work that I have been doing on myself. I have been coming up against this. I have been leaping off of cliffs for a lot of years now. I've made a series of tremendous leaps. I moved out to California to take over a restaurant with no experience, no money, and no plan. I did that. That was a huge leap. Did it turn out exactly the way that I thought it was going to? No. 5 years later, I'm broke. I'm $60,000 in debt. I'm coming out of a drug addiction, and I'm like, what the hell do I do with my life now? And I went into property management, rented apartments, just tried to figure out what I was doing with my life. And then I connected with a spiritual healer, had a profound spiritual experience, and I took another big leap. My entire life blew up, and I decided to work with him. And I traveled the world for 3 years with a spiritual healer, doing a social media and planning events for him. I've taken leap after leap after leap after leap in my life. Every time there was so much fear. I sold everything I owned and went on the road as a professional speaker. That was not even a year. That was a year ago. Maybe a year ago I did that. There was no guarantee that was going to work out. Do you realize how much fear I felt? Do you realize how much I sold almost everything I owned, left my beloved little cottage in Ocean Beach, threw all my crap in a Ford Fusion, and drove to Houston, Texas to be a speaker and to build events? No guarantee any of that was going to work out. That was a leap I took, though, because I was committed to exploring the possibilities that were opening up ahead of me. I was committed to facing the things that I was afraid of and working through it and pushing through it every day. And who knows where the hell my life would be if I hadn't made that decision. If I hadn't made that decision to go on the road and do Habitude Warrior, and then I ended up spending the next year traveling around Texas, speaking to thousands of people, emceeing events all over the country. My abilities as a speaker, as a professional, increased exponentially in that time. Because I took that leap, because I stood in the faith that whatever was on the other side of that cliff was going to be worth it. And that I was not going to die on the cliff in my rusty little cottage in Ocean Beach, hiding behind my computer monitor. It's not worth it, y'all. It's not worth it. Stop hiding, because you are not guaranteed another day to make the difference you want in the world. Are you with me? Are you here with me? That's the Matt challenge for this week, is to identify what little cliff you are standing on, and what would it look like for you to dive off it? And what would die? What possibility would die? What difference in the world would die if you don't take that leap? If you don't dive off that cliff? Are you going to dive, or are you going to die? Give me a 1 if you're committed to going into this Matt challenge this week. Give me a 1 if you're committed to looking and identifying the cliff that you're on, identifying what diving into possibility would look like for you, and taking that freaking leap, going for it. And not just leaping off the big cliff, but leaping off the little one every day and in every aspect of your life. Because I can boil my life down to 4 big leaps. The restaurant, the spiritual healer, going into public speaking, and then walking away from public speaking with no plan and almost no money to step fully into coaching women. Those are the 4 big leaps. I've done all 4 of those big leaps in the last 7 years of my life. And those leaps have created who I am today. And in every single one of those situations, the biggest part of leaping is you don't have to have a full plan. You don't have to know necessarily what you're leaping into. You sure as hell aren't going to have a guarantee that it's going to work out. So if you're expecting that, guess what? That's not a leap. Brenda says, number 1, identify cliffs. Number 2, jump off cliffs. Got it. Yeah. Exactly. And don't expect there to be a full game plan. Don't expect to know exactly what you're going to land. Don't need that shit. Be willing to bet on yourself. Be willing to fail. Be willing to bounce off some rocks. Be willing to get bloody. It's okay. Just keep leaping. Because if you don't, you're dying. If you don't, you're stagnating. If you don't, you're selling out on yourself. If you don't, you're settling for a half-lived life. And I refuse to let anyone in my circles, anyone that I'm working with, anyone that I'm serving, live a half-lived life if I have anything to say about it. Because that's not acceptable for me, and that's not acceptable for anyone that I love. And I love each and every one of you. So I hope that this resonated with you. If it did, take a second, share this out to your tribe. Let me know that this is landing with you. I really appreciate it. And just for the love of God, dive off the cliff. Don't die on the cliff. And if you're watching on YouTube, take a second, hit that little subscribe button, give this video a like, and thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next week on Mondays with Matt.